Well, good evening. It's Dave back with my podcast, and I've got Bill Cook with me. We talked with him about psilocybin mushrooms last week, but today we're going to talk to him about commercial marijuana farming. Um, how many years have you been involved in growing marijuana?
23 years, over 23 years now.
Wow. Now, you came here to Oregon how long ago?
It was November, that was the week of Thanksgiving 2016. So you're looking at what, 7 years now? Too
And you
long,
were
long time.
were you running a cannabis farm when you first got here?
No, I moved here because I had gotten busted for running a cannabis farm in Ohio. And that was my third bust. And that time they pointed the assault rifles at my sons, who were 2 and 4. So I felt it best I flee to a legal state while I fought my case. I ended up getting 3 years probation, and into my third year here, I landed the job where I work now.
Okay. Now, um, I guess I'm kind of curious, how much marijuana do you grow in a year? Did you grow in a year?
In a about 6,000 square feet of flowering canopy, and that's pushing it actually. I think that's total canopy combined. If I'm, let's see, flower rooms were 30. Yeah, we had about 6,000 total canopy, including vegetative. 2,600 pounds a year average.
2,600 pounds. That's amazing. Now, what was the potency of your marijuana?
Depending on the strain, so everything from low 20s to low 30s.
And you ended up, it was not successful. It
No,
went out of business.
yeah, we've
What
shut down.
what what's the problem? Why did because everybody thinks there's $1 million in marijuana.
Right.
But what's the problem? Why couldn't you sell the marijuana once you grew it?
Because there's so much good weed on the market already. There's 10 times as much product on the cannabis market here in Oregon as is consumed by the cannabis using public. And that was at least 2 years in a row. 10 times as much product was produced than is consumed. So it didn't matter if you had the best weed. I mean, it mattered. It helped if you had really good weed, but you were still chasing your tail trying to get paid. Uh, Even our best weed sat.
Wow. So, wow, 2,600 pounds a year and you couldn't sell it.
That's a lot of weight.
Is that what's causing it's every day here because we're here in Grants Pass. Excuse me. And almost every day you hear about some really big bust going on where they're taking down these marijuana farms. Now they're still making money.
Right.
What are they doing? How are they making their profit?
Oftentimes they can funnel it to illegal states and sell it for premium prices with no taxes. So you're gonna, the hand's dealt in your favor there if you can swing, getting in trouble. Um, Another thing that happened here in Oregon was you'd have legal producers say they grow an outdoor crop and they'd have an illegal crop next to it, and they would combine the numbers into their legal crop. So it was a sort of reversing the Green River that usually heads east and backing it up into the Oregon market. It was nuts.
It still is nuts. So who's surviving out there? The small farms or the great big um
The ones that are surviving best are people that are really small farm, like their family members, but then they're small. The ones that are making it are your multi-state operators who can funnel funds in from other states to keep operations alive here long enough to be the last man standing. And you've got really deep pockets, people that are in it to the very end. Um, even one of the big producers on the stock market fled Oregon because it's not profitable to grow. So a lot of them are dropping like flies. You got a lot of consolidation right now. Same thing as in the stock market. Your stock prices sort of consolidate over time. You've got a lot of people buying up licenses right now, just hoarding licenses.
hmm. Well, here in Oregon, that's not really a problem, is it? Because it's really easy to get a license. Now, for instance, in Washington, they have a limited number of licenses, and once those licenses have been reached, No more dispensaries.
Right. Well, for the producers, there was no limit on the product. As far as I knew, there was not a limit on the production licenses. They got so backlogged, they shut it down. And then they brought it back online for a little while and approved a bunch of new ones and then shut it down again because they got backlogged. There's, I think, 1,400 licenses, producer licenses. So you've got too many. There's just too many farms. They should have limited it quite a bit more, maybe.
Well, what about turning it into dabs or, hash oil products,
I mean, you can do that.
cartridges?
Yeah, you can do that. There's just not a lot of money in it, especially for a smaller. So 2,600 pounds a year isn't a lot of weight, and it was an expensive indoor operation. We sold the weight, but it wasn't profitable enough for us to keep going. But say you're a great big outdoor farm and you've grown 10,000 pounds, you know what I mean, and you make 75 cents on what I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not enough. It wasn't enough, and there was a lot of them doing it. The prices of dabs crashed. The prices of oil, all of it, all concentrates. I saw my good premium trim go from $200 a pound to 20.
Whoa.
So it just crashed. There was just too many producers, too much product. So they've got to pick at the litter. And they need batches. That's another thing is they need batches to be a certain size. So for an indoor grower, it wasn't as profitable because, I'd have 4 different varieties every 2 weeks. There wasn't enough trim or product that I would not sell as whole flower to for a lot of the white label extractors to want to deal with it. There wasn't enough at once. So for us, it didn't make a lot of sense. Had we been an outdoor producer, we could have grown for fresh frozen,
Hmm.
and maybe worked out contracts with the oil makers, but I just wasn't in that business.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You talk about the backlog, and I can't mention names because I didn't ask their permission to mention them, but I have literally spent less than $10 on an ounce. I have a medical card, and so I get 20% off. And this company sells $10 ounces, $12 ounces. And so I'm getting an ounce for less than $10. I never thought I'd see the day.
I don't know how they're doing it.
Uh,
I just don't. I mean, it has to be outdoor, and
it is, it
and
is.
it has to be rough trimmed, either by machine or
And it has been. It's really funny. I I bought one time, and it said that it was 23%, but when I looked at it, it was almost all stick. It reminded me of the days of the Mexican dirt weed. It had so much stick in it. But when I
shouldn't get away with that in Oregon. It should. There's so much good weed here that should never happen.
but I I think I took like an eighth of stick out of this ounce,
That's nuts, man.
and it was some of the most powerful weed I'd been smoking because
Wow.
it said 23%, but once you get rid of an entire eighth of crap, then you've
Right.
got some pretty good marijuana. So it's pretty
Right.
good deal.
Right.
And so I can see that as the backlash.
Yeah.
Um,
Too many
so
producers, too much production. They
well,
should have limited the licenses.
well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna sit on our license is what we're doing. We're sitting on it, waiting for things to turn around. We're not gonna sell it. Um, and I just stay busy doing other things right now.
Okay. Well, we'll be interviewing you more later on other topics, and you can keep us up to date on what's going on out at the farm. And if somebody picks up the license.
Right on.
All right. Well, I will see you again next week. Try to stay out of trouble until then, and have a nice night.